So heading into 2025, we have our first upcoming set of previews with the LVO coming up in just a few short weeks. And it does look on the face of it as though we have got a lot to be excited about this year. And GW have given us a tiny little tease with some blacked out silhouettes. So let's dive in and take a quick look and see what seems to be coming over the course of this year. First up, we have a fairly obvious one, the pink background, the rapier style sword, the whip. I think we all know who this is, and with the imminent release of the Emperor's Children, this is in the same vein as Khan the Betrayer, Araman, and Typhus, the named Chaos Lord for the 3rd Legion, which is Lucius the Eternal. And from the silhouette we can see, I do have to say, I think he looks like he's going to be absolutely gorgeous. He looks like he is going to have a really dynamic pose, like he's taunting the opponent with his sword, you know, just daring them to come and fight him. I imagine he will still have his uniquely horrific armor made up of the faces and the souls of his victims. And that whip just looks like it's also going to be this incredibly awesome redesign. I shouldn't say whip, it is actually a lash. But either way, it looks like it's going to be such a fun, interesting, dynamic redesign to fully bring him in line with the more modern GW designs, because his current model is really quite old now. I am kind of curious how they're going to do his head, whether he's going to have a helmeted option or just be his, you know, scarred, pale, bare head. But I think either way, he is going to look spectacular. From what we've seen of things like Fulgrim being released and the other teases we've got about the upcoming Emperor's Children, the whole release and the whole army looks like it's going to just be fantastically well designed and really fit with that aesthetic that we expect from the Emperor's Children. And I imagine that Lucius will be no different. I think he will blend in with the rest of that design so well. And just based on that silhouette, I'll be honest, I think he's going to be the most impressive of the named Chaos Lords for the 4 main legions that we've seen. It also looks as though another Heresy model is coming to the land of plastic, with the very unique, very distinctive profile of the Thanatar being shown off. This is ostensibly a 30k model, although I guess in theory they could bring it into the modern AdMech, but equally this just could be a design for Heresy and it's coming in plastic. They've been doing that with a lot of the older kits, so that would be par for the course. I think just what is interesting about this particular video is that when they have been talking about the upcoming LVO reveals, they don't actually mention anything for Heresy. So whether that is a tease that this is coming for 40k maybe, or it could just be, you know, a small mix-up on GW's part and they forgot to put that there is going to be some Heresy reveals coming in this upcoming reveal show. I guess we won't know until the event. But either way, the Thanatars are a very popular, very cool model, and the actual specific design that this one looks to be is the Thanatar Calix, which comes with a massive Solex pattern heavy las cannon. So I think it's going to be a really interesting, cool design to build and paint up. And I mean, personally, I feel like this is going to be for 30k and for Heresy more than 40k, which I do think is a shame because I would love a bit more cross use of the older 30k and the more modern 40k AdMech kits. I would love it if you could kind of have a bit more mix and match between the two. But either way, getting more of those older resin kits into plastic is just a good sign in general. It does point us to the direction of more of those older Forge World kits and pieces slowly but surely making their way into the much nicer plastic redesigns. So if you are a Heresy fan, I think this is going to be a great bit of news. If you are a 40k AdMech player, maybe keep your fingers and toes crossed for a really nice surprise at the LVO as well. Although I would also caveat that by saying, really don't get your hopes up, because although it looks like they could be teasing that this might be coming for 40k, I think they've just made a mistake and this is going to just be a plastic version of that 30k kit for 30k. Next up, we got shown what looks to be a very Realm of Beasts style coloured background with the silhouette of a distinctly beast-like creature. There's been quite a lot of discussion online about what base this guy has, with some people saying it looks circular, other people saying it is clearly a square base. I'm in the latter camp. I think based on the images we've seen, this does look to be a square base. So for me, I'm thinking this guy is likely going to be an old world release. And for me, with that amber brownish background, the horned head, the rather crude looking staff, this is fairly clearly a Beastmen release. And, maybe it's going to be a brand new Bray Shaman or a brand new Beast Lord coming to join the fray. But I think it is definitely going to be a old world Warhammer Fantasy style square based release. I don't play the old world, so I don't know all that well, but I think they're still a fairly popular faction amongst old world players. So seeing them get some actual love after they were, unceremoniously squatted from AOS and have had years and years of neglect from Fantasy, like going all the way back to, 8th edition. I don't think they got an army book there. I think their last actual release was 6th or 7th edition in terms of a book in old Fantasy. So it's really nice to see them finally getting that extra bit of love. And I mean, you never know, it could be a hint at one day of them getting more of a refresh on some of their other really old units and designs. There's also a really cool worm-like creature being shown in the silhouettes, and again, we have seen a lot of speculation online. I've seen some people saying this could be something Necron related because of the segmented carapace and the general design. Admittedly, it does look like it could in some way relate to the Necron Tombstalker, but let's be honest, based on what they've said is being shown at the LVO, I'm 99% certain this is going to be a Necromunda reveal. This does fit in very, very well with the current Ash Waste campaign that Necromunda has, with all manner of bugs and beasts and terrifying critters ravaging the wasteland and being a threat to your gangs. So I am fairly certain this will relate to that, and it will just be this cool centipede-style horror that you can add to your battles. The final tease is actually one I'm really excited about as a Soulblight Gravelords player, because we have what is clearly a Death Rattle style unit here. You can see the thin, bone-like rider, the very skeletal horse, even the helmet and the sword from the silhouette are in that very distinctive, very familiar Graveguard aesthetic. And backed up by the fact that we've got a fairly solid set of rumours that there are new Graveguard coming, as well as possibly a new Lord on Zombie Dragon, as well as the fact that the current Black Knight set is, really quite old. It is about as old as those two kits. So it really wouldn't surprise me that we get a brand new set of mounted Black Knights alongside a redesign of the Infantry Graveguard. We know that Soulblight Gravelords are one of the most popular AOS factions, so it is sensible that they would be wanting to update all of their older kits, and these are two of the sort of oldest long-standing kits. In fact, you could argue that the three of them, the Black Knights, the Graveguard, and the Lord on Zombie Dragon, are, I think, three of the oldest kits that the Soulblight brought over from Warhammer Fantasy, so getting those finally updated would make a lot of sense. What really intrigues me about this, though, is that the current Black Knight set is a dual kit with the Hex Wraiths for the Nighthaunt. So if that box is going away, does that also mean there's going to be an eventual redesign of the Hex Wraiths too? They are a unit that, again, doesn't quite fit in with the modern Nighthaunt style. They are close in look, and I think it's fair to say that the modern Nighthaunt took some inspiration from that. But because the original Hex Wraiths came out before AOS was ever a thing and before Nighthaunt were ever a thing, they do look a bit different. They are slightly older. They're a bit more chunky and solid compared to the very flimsy, ethereal design that the Nighthaunt have. So I could very easily see them retiring this dual kit and then having the Black Knights as a new box for the Soulblight, and then maybe when the Nighthaunt get their 4th edition release, an entirely new redesigned style of Hex Wraiths as part of that. Now, we don't have long to wait. The LVO preview show is taking place in just a couple of weeks. The showtime is 5 AM GMT for me on Friday the 17th, so it's a very, very early showing. I probably won't be covering it live, but I will be going through the reveals over the following weekend for sure. And from the tease, as you can see, it mentions 40k, AOS, The Old World, Necromunda, and Black Library all getting some love. So the only question really is that Thanatar kit, which should be Heresy, but also maybe, fingers crossed, could be a very, very nice 2025 surprise for you 40k AdMech players. But that is going to be it for this video. Which of the teases here are you most excited to see in full? And what else do you think we might see throughout the LVO reveals? Let me know your thoughts and theories and ideas down in the comments below. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe for more Warhammer content from me. But until next time, I'll catch you later, guys.